morning. You're joining us live from Jerez in sunny southern Spain. I'm absolutely delighted to be able to finally say the wait is over. MotoGP is back. We've got a day of testing coming up here for all three classes before any of the Grand Prix action gets underway. And I've got the perfect man standing alongside me to talk us through what we can expect to see out there today. Simon Crafar, welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Perfect man. I wouldn't have exaggerated that much, but
it's so great to be back, isn't it, Si? And it's been a really long time since we've been able to see all of those MotoGP riders out on track together. We don't really have much time here right now, so I think what we'll do is we'll leave all of the team swaps and all that stuff for 2021 to tomorrow. Let's focus on where we left the boys after that final test in Qatar. First things first. Most of them haven't had a touch on their MotoGP machines for 4 months. How long will it take for them to get reacquainted today?
Amy, honestly, I didn't sleep last night, honestly, because I'm so excited. Can you imagine them? Really, 4 months not on the bike. Look, first of all, I think the teams are going to have to give them a setting that they know works on this track, like from previous tests, and let the boys get out there and get familiar again, because if they have anything new, they won't know if the problem is themselves. I know how it is, but there's also, because of the condition difference, even if you have, like I've been here, ridden when it's cool, like they have, in testing, come back, and this huge heat we've got here, the bike's going to feel different anyway because of the lack of grip.
So is that going to affect the tyres massively with the lack of grip then?
Yeah, Michelin know how to gauge temperature, track temperature and what rubber to put out there, but there's no getting away from, especially here at this track, it's historically bad for grip when the temperature rises, So that's why they have such fast times in the winter, in the cool, and it's not going to be like that this one. So it's going to be a lack of grip, and who manages that?
Let's go through our manufacturers, Simon. So arguably one of the biggest talking points when we left Qatar were Honda, and they looked as though they got themselves in a real pickle. We saw Marc Marquez, our world champion, really not with that usual air of confidence we're so used to seeing them. It sounded as though they had some major front-end issues, although there was some light at the end of the tunnel by the sounds of things. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, you worded it perfectly. It looked like they had a bit of a disaster with the aero, that's come out since that test, and all of the new chassis stuff that they were trying with the aero, they've had to go through it all again once binning that aero, because they're not using it anymore. So, you're talking in the final hour or hours at least, but maybe even the last hour of the last test, the last time they were on the bike, Mark was scrambling and retesting all those chassis. So I think they've still got some work to do today to find out what they're going to use for the weekend, Honda. I got to say I enjoyed the little struggle that Honda had because, believe me, I'm a fan of Mark, but it's great to see him have a little trip, and I thought the others were going to pounce, and then we never got to race. So let's see if we get to see that here.
Let's move on to Ducati now. So obviously Michelin brought a brand new rear tyre this year, and it looked when it came to Ducati that mostly, overall, things were going pretty well. Just a few more things to do when it came to setup and getting the setting right dialed in for that brand new rear tyre. Also, Andrea Dovizioso, 2 weeks ago, had a motocross accident and has broken his collarbone. That's definitely going to have to come into play in terms of how they pitch this day to day. Is he going to be out there putting in the laps, or will they hold some back for him for energy-wise for the weekend ahead?
Yeah, as much as Michelin don't like to hear it, because they think it's they've stated it's a higher grip tyre, which it is, this new rear tyre. And Michelin don't like to hear that it suits some brands more than the other, but the fact is, the inline fours, Suzuki and Yamaha, made friends with it quickly. They loved it straight away, no downside. Where the V4 guys, especially Ducati, had some complaints, Although Tito and Jack said that's so much rear grip when they tried it here. It's wonderful. They're all excited, but it pushes the front, So the Ducati guys, the thing is, Dovi, out of all of the people in this paddock, I respect him as much as anyone, if not the most. He's amazing, technical, great rider, great to listen to. He will figure it out. It just depends how long it takes.
Let's move on to Yamaha now. It looked as though they were kind of like a divided camp, because whilst you saw Maverick Vinales, Fabio Quartararo, Franco Morbidelli also arguably, they seem to have a really positive end to winter testing. Valentino still looked as though he had some reservations when it came to tyre wear. That still seemed to be a bit of a worrying issue for him.
Amy, Yamaha, I think if you had to give a prize for winning the off-season, I think they did it. You know,
Really?
Yeah, they looked really good. They've improved the bike, which they needed to. You know, it was really down on speed. They've closed that gap a little bit. And going into the Qatar race, which we never had, I had my money on like the Yamahas, you know, to really do some damage. And Maverick, if he's on form, I think he can win, you know, especially with this new bike. Yeah, Yamaha, I think, are in a really, really good place.
I'm going to put you on the spot now, Simon, because do you not think Suzuki, would we not give Suzuki the most improved award from winter testing? I was going to ask you whether you thought this was the best chance they had since they returned to the World Championship to go for the title. That bike looks as though it's improved in all the areas, and Alex and also Joanne, they look as though they're up and they're ready to go for it this year.
I agree, Amy. Suzuki have got two fantastic riders. Joanne is stepping up now. I believe he's going to show what he can do this year. Suzuki did what every manufacturer wants to do, and that is not get lost, not step forward and backwards. They took methodical steps forward, and the bike is better. I don't know if it's better than the Yamaha. You know, the Yamaha is obviously a nice bike to ride. Everyone can ride it. Joanna's figuring it out. I would have given the off-season second place close to Suzuki. That's only my opinion, but yeah, they did a really good job.
We've got two more manufacturers to have a quick chat about. Let's go to KTM. Obviously, big news on the eve of this Grand Prix with Pol Espargaro leaving that project for Honda. But to be fair, I mean, all the work that Dani Pedrosa, Pol Espargaro has done, that bike is really looking in a good place. Would you say that this is perhaps also one of their best years and one of their most biggest opportunities to really score some decent points? You
know, the last couple of years, turning up to all the tests, I've felt that in general, the riders and team staff weren't that happy with the KTM. Sorry, KTM, but that's the impression I got, you know. And the riders struggled, some more than others. Pole managed to do some impressive things, but I don't think it was easy. Where this year, when I turned up to the tests, everybody was impressed with the bike. Excuse my mask. Everyone, I'm talking the rookies, the riders, KTM of like Pole, everyone was happy with the bike, and the positive vibe coming from the mechanics was, you know, the first time I've ever felt that. So I think it's KTM's best chance to do a good job ever.
And worth mentioning also, our teams with concessions, so both KTM and Aprilia, already have had the opportunity to get their first hands on the bike. That's including the Tech 3 riders as well. They were testing already at the Red Bull Ring and Misano. So this won't be a completely brand spanking new, let's feel the bike and all that stuff day for them. But Aprilia also were another manufacturer to really come out of the blocks of winter testing. They didn't get their RSGP until, was it Sepang?
Yes,
if I remember
serves.
But Aleix Espargaro couldn't put any more praise onto the work that had been done. I mean, the only thing with them that we always are a little bit concerned with when it comes to Aprilia is their reliability. Will they have enough time today to really put some more extra miles into that bike?
Yeah, but the exciting thing I think here is KTM and Aprilia this year, because of the concessions, are allowed to keep progress, you know, developing, where the others have got a freeze on development. So I think it's a real good opportunity for KTM and Aprilia. One other thing about that new Aprilia, they did such an impressive job with that brand new bike, but fair enough, with a brand new engine, they didn't have the endurance, you know, because it was brand new. Where I think this lockdown has given them the chance to be on the bench, the dyno, and I'd be very surprised if they haven't already figured it out.
Simon, it's so great to be back chatting to you about my favourite thing. Oh, can't wait for this weekend. We're going to be back later on at 2 o'clock for another update. Simon's going to be telling you all the things he's spotted down here in pit lane. And then we've got After the Flag coming up at 5 o'clock local time with Matt Burt and Steve Day. So from us here for now, see you later.